some paying the ultimate sacrifice, and have responded to and assisted the state and local governments with numerous natural disasters. Whereas over the years, the U.S. Army, the U.S. Army Reserve, and National Guard have provided vocational and educational opportunities as well as valuable life lessons in courage, discipline, and teamwork to the citizens of St. George. And whereas currently St. George citizens from all walks of life serve the state and nation proudly in peacekeeping missions around the world and disaster response at home, while bettering themselves and their families, and it is proper to recognize the United States Army on its birthday and thank those who have served and are presently serving. Now, therefore, I next up on the agenda will be presentation from our IBTS Program Director on the report. Scott?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. You have in your packets a copy of the monthly report and occupational licensing, permitting, and planning and zoning cases. For May, we have 118 occupational licenses. That's starting to decrease because, as many of you may know, the deadline to submit is actually March the 1st. But we did have I can't believe I keep saying this, but the number just keeps going up. So we were 376 for the month of May. Just to put that in perspective, January was 244, February was 299, March was 301, April was 369, May was 376. So it just keeps getting bigger. That's a testament to how much people love our community. Planning and zoning, we had 13 cases. That was also an increase. And I might add that, we began code enforcement services in the month of May. And so we are currently have worked 175 cases. Out of that, there's 26 new ones generated just in the last week. We have closed 71 cases. Those have been either closed or abated. There's 76 active cases. So we have a pretty good history so far going into it at this early stage of some voluntary abatement and compliance with our citizens, and we're happy to report that. And that's the end of my report. Any questions? Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. Introductions. Introduction of ordinances, resolutions for public hearing on June 24th, 2025. Ordinance to enact section 1:1201 of St. George Code of Ordinances relative to criminal background checks of mayor or city council appointees and to provide for related matters. Under Planning Commission and Zoning Commission items, also up for public hearing on June 24th, 2025. CU 25-02, conditional use permit for the Dunham School Early Childhood Center, the 10.18 acre property located at 9611 Seaton Lane between Briar Hollow Drive and Natchez Court on tract B of the Elizabeth S. Ward property in section 38 T8S R1E GLD EBR Louisiana. The applicant requests a conditional use permit to add a new use of an educational institution in the A2 to single-family residential zoning district. Applicant is Dunham School on behalf of the Chapel of the Campus Incorporated. All right, items for public hearing and action. Item number 1 is 2024-2025 fiscal year budget amendment. Scott, can you come up here and talk about this real quick, please?
I'm going to let Brandon do it.
Oh, Brandon, okay, I'm sorry.
He's fine. It's got that.
Thank you, Scott, Mayor, Council. Before you is both the 2024-2025 fiscal year budget amendment. So on that, we have primarily the transition district special revenue fund. The legal documents in the transition district is to account for those sales tax and the cooperative endeavor agreement, showing that flowing into the transition district as a special revenue fund and then transferring into the general fund once it goes through that process to pay those legal fees. So that's primarily what that budget amendment is about, and that's for the current fiscal year budget. The special revenue fund budget for 25-26 just enacts the upcoming fiscal year 26 budget. You have those details in your packet as well. To go along with that, behind you we have just a quick overview of the Local Government Budget Act. I just want to share this with everyone. So we'll just kind of run through these slides pretty quickly. Let's see, there we go. Okay, so some of these slides, like this one in particular, was borrowed from the Louisiana Legislative Auditor, and they don't mind us borrowing that. So this just kind of gives a good overall chart of all the required deadlines that we must meet for the Local Government Budget Act. So to break that down a little bit further, let's see. This is just the exact dates that we hit each of those requirements, available for public inspection, notice of public hearing, introduction, adoption for the general fund and the special revenue fund. And this just gives just kind of an overview of the language in the Budget Act. We won't bore you with all those details, but of course, feel free to go back and access that. The first part of the Budget Act, C1, just kind of lays all those legalities out, signed by the budget preparer, that's the mayor, and so on those. This next slide, so C2A, that gets more into the weeds of all the different columns that we have to have in the budget, percentage difference comparative from last year to the upcoming budget that we're proposing. And then this just kind of breaks it down further on those spreadsheet columns. On the right, that's your required columns for the Local Government Budget Act. On the left is the recommended best practices from the Louisiana Legislative Auditors, which is what we follow on that left hand side. Arrive at a structurally balanced budget. That just means is your revenues greater than your expenditures, or is your revenues plus available fund balance greater than your expenditures? Just literally means that we arrive at a structurally balanced budget. And then it's not over once we adopt the budget. Each month, reporting budget to actual, that's required by the Budget Act. And if there's a greater variance of 5% in expenditures over that, it requires a budget amendment. If we come in revenue under 5%, then that also requires a budget amendment. And if we come to the beginning of the fiscal year, if our beginning estimated fund balance isn't at least 5% within that range, we also have to move the budget as well. So that's just all guided by the Local Government Budget Act and also audited by the Louisiana Legislative Auditor in their statewide reform procedures. So with that, I think that gives a good highlight overview. But of course, if anyone has any questions, feel free. Happy to help.
Brandon, do we comply with everything the legislative auditor wants us to comply with?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And why is that important?
It is very important. We don't like nasty letters or audit findings. Absolutely. So yeah, it's just being good stewards of taxpayer dollars. That's what it's all about.
think Brandon actually covered two items here. We may have to bring it back up with the second one. But for the first one, the 2024-2025 fiscal year budget amendment, I'll open up the public comment period on that item at this time. I have one card that would like to speak on it. Sean?
Good evening. I'm Sean Lynch, and I live off of Hoosier 2. I spoke during the budget hearing last week, and I'm here again because you're about to give away your power. Section 2 of the budget amendment removes checks and balances. It lets the mayor make unlimited line item adjustments under 5%, with the council only receiving reports after the fact. No approval, no oversight, just notification. Louisiana law has no limits on how often the mayors can do this. That's why you need to make your own rules. The mayor could make dozens of 4.9% transfers throughout the year, moving money from roads to legal fees, from drainage to consultants, and you'd have no say until it's done. I know you ran as the St. George team, but even teammates can disagree on priorities. More importantly, what happens after you term? Do you want any future mayor having this unchecked power? The current language puts the burden on working families to seek judicial remedies to fix problems that should have required council approval in the first place. My fix is simple. Just require adjustments stay within the same department and cap total annual transfers at 10% without council approval. Don't surrender your own oversight authority because you're on the same accord right now. You ran promising us better government, so architecting your own authority to govern. Thank you.
Anybody else like to make a public comment on this item? Seeing none, we'll close the public comment period at this time. Real quick, I know we talked about this last meeting, but Sherry, can you run down kind of the way that the process works and how it's set up and what we're actually adhering to with that?
Actually, I think it's on the slide that is behind you. If actual revenues will be less than budgeted revenues by 5%, or if actual expenditures will be more than budgeted by 5%, then you're required to do an amendment. In the ordinance that's adopted, it does require the mayor to report on any of the categories that's exceeded. So there will be a report to the council. The council can take action at that point. This is a preliminary budget. It's based on not much historical data, and the council will probably need to amend the budget as they go along.
Thank you, Sherry. Council? Motion to approve by Edmonds. Second by Himmel. Any opposition? Hearing none, item is approved. Next item is the 2025-2026 fiscal year special revenue fund budget. Brandon, I know you spoke on this a little bit, but just for clarity purposes, can you come and just keep your comments to this one particular item so nobody gets confused on it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. So yeah, the special revenue fund budget primarily consists of two different special revenue funds. One, the transition district, and the other is the traffic impact fee fund. It's just, if you have legally restricted or committed funds, you have to segregate those into a special revenue fund. So we're just complying with the Local Government Budget Act on these special revenue funds.
All right, thank you, Brandon. I'll open it up to the public comment period on this item at this time. If anybody chooses to speak, now's the time. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment period on that item. Council?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Councilwoman Cook, second by Councilman Monticello. Any opposition? Hearing none, that item is approved. Item number 3, ordinance to make technical amendments to ordinance 2025-022. Stephanie, could you speak on this a little bit? If you don't mind.
I believe this is just a technical amendment to the original floodplain management ordinance, and it was just two small changes. One was supposed to be crossed through, so we were supposed to remove it, and it ended up getting underlined, so it's just a minor change in the ordinance.
And at whose request was that amended? Why is that required, I guess?
FEMA,
FEMA. Okay, so FEMA asked us to make a technical adjustment so we could
yes,
go forward with the process and all the things that we're doing, right?
correct.
All right, I'll open up public comment period on that item at this time. If anyone chooses to speak, have the time. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment period on item 3. Council? Motion to approve by Edmonds, second by Himmel. Any opposition? Hearing none, item is approved. Number 4, ordinance to enact Title 11, Chapters 28 and 29, relative to parking and to provide for related matters. Councilwoman Cook, I know this is your item, and I believe that we have some revisions to this.
Yes. Do we have copies that were put out?
Yes. Councilors do have copies.
We have copies. Just wanna make sure that they have copies as well. So there's some questions about some things in the parking ordinance. I think the main thing is we just want to get something in place. This is an ongoing issue across St. George. We have fire protection districts, crime prevention districts that neighborhoods are paying for in addition to on the regular property tax, and they can't issue parking tickets right now. So we need to, have something in place that we can proceed with this. I don't know that it'll be forever, but we need to get something going right now. It specifies some changes that hopefully were addressed at the last meeting, but if anyone else has any more input on it, we can look at it, but we'd like to move forward with it.
Yeah, we'll accept the amendment. So we need a motion to accept the amendments as presented.
Motion to accept the amendments as presented.
Motion made by Councilwoman Cook, second by Councilman Monticello. Any opposition to the amendments? Hearing none, the amendments have been adopted.
You can open up public comment.
We haven't got on the item yet. Do you open up the amendments to public comment? Okay, we'll do that. All right, let me reverse my motion and second and approval. So we'll open up the amendments to public comment. Do you want to speak on the amendments, or do you want to speak on the items?
I mean, I can.
It's going to be the same thing, right?
Yeah, everything like that. I just want to say I appreciate the amendments on it. My initial objection on my card was because it was the same parking ordinance was posted online. It didn't have the amendments. I got the amendments just a few minutes ago. But I do want to ask about the enforcement on private property. I don't have a copy of the ordinance, but I believe it's page 2, line 49, if I remember correctly. But it specifies the enforcement of, restricts parking on private property without the acceptance of the property owner. So just kind of want to make sure that we're not, overstepping our bounds as far as restrictions and enforcement on private property.
Thank you, Jonathan. Would anybody else like to make any public comments on the amendments? Seeing none, we'll close the public comment period for the amendments. Do I hear a motion to accept the amendments? Motion by Councilwoman Cook, second by Councilman Monticello. Any opposition? The amendments have been accepted. So the ordinance itself, ordinance to enact Title 11, Chapter 28 and 29, relative to parking and to provide for related matters. I will open the public comment period for that item at this time, if anybody chooses to speak. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment period on item 4. Council? Motion to approve by Councilman Moore. Second by Councilman Edmonds. Any opposition? Hearing none, ordinance is approved. Item number 5, selection of contractor for administrative and development services. So we put an RFP out for administrative and development services today. And we received one bid that came back for that, and that was IBTS. So IBTS will be awarded that administrative and development services contract. We have Mr. Chris Miller here tonight from IBTS. He's going to give a little brief presentation on what the contract entails. So, welcome, Chris.
Thank you. And for the record, again, my name is Chris Miller. I'm the Director of Civic and Infrastructure Services at IBTS. And we're humbled to be here today. This has been a long journey for the city of St. George. It's been a journey for IBTS as well. And I couldn't be more excited to be here, but at the same time humbled as well, which is kind of a strange mixture of emotions. So what we'll do this evening is I'll give some brief comments, and then I'll turn it over to Matt Fonzieski, who will introduce our team, and then Scott Bird, our program director, who you know extremely well, will kind of run through some of the elements of our proposal. And Stephanie Phillips will also speak a little bit about our grant works and some of the items related to engineering. So as we all know, cities aren't just buildings and roads or utilities or lines on a zoning map. There were people find connection. There were people create memories and build futures. Personally, my aunt and uncle have lived in St. George since the 1970s. That's a picture of me and my sister with my cousin in what was known as Baton Rouge back then. Now it's St. George. And that simple change in name really does make all the difference. In that same front yard in Oak Hills, I learned how to drive a self-riding lawnmower, which didn't turn out so well. You can see this next picture. I actually drove into my uncle's car. So I learned how to apologize and drive a mower all the same. But the change in name is more than just a shift in boundaries. It's a powerful reminder, and it defines us. And it's not just on a map, but it's who chooses to shape it. And so for the city of St. George, this is not just a new city. This is a truly new opportunity. More than a decade ago, before St. George existed officially, IBTS met with a group of residents who believed in something different. Drew's in the back seat back there. He and I met at his house on multiple occasions. And the idea wasn't just a city that was going to be a smaller version of some other place. It was going to be a living experiment in civic innovation, a place rooted in community, not bureaucracy. And I know that everybody here stands for that. Since then, we've stood by that vision through every lawsuit, every legal delay, every tough choice, not just as contractors, but as believers, because we saw what each of you have seen, that St. George could be a city that remembers that local government is supposed to feel like a responsive, transparent, and human experience. So people often ask us, what is our role in this process? Our role is to make government more efficient to be your servants. Our goal is to remember that every time that a permit is approved more quickly without red tape, that's not just a permit, that's a business being opened in St. George. Any time that a drainage issue is addressed, that's not just fixing something on the side of the road. That means that a resident can sleep well at night when the storm comes. Those are things that make a city a community, and that's what we are. That's what we're invested in here, along with you as a mayor and council. And so, what I'd like to do now is to bring Matt up. He'll talk a little more about our team that we've selected to serve the city, and I just wanted to reinforce again how excited we are to be part of something unique and different. This is not done many other places, or very few other places across the country. This truly is a unique opportunity, and IBTS is extremely excited and humbled to be here for that process. And as we put in our proposal, we will never put profits over the mission or the well-being of the city. I think it was pointed out in our proposal, we will cap our profits, our asset gain at a predetermined percentage, because assets should be returned back to the city of St. George, not to the company that provides services. That's gonna be hard to beat. All right. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Matt Fonzieski. I'm a St. George resident. I'm also the Senior Program Director for IBTS. I oversee the city of Central and now the city of St. George. And I was, in the very beginning, back in October of last year, I led the hiring of all the staff for the city of St. George, selecting all the subcontractors, and I led all the foundational policies that were developed in the beginning. I've lived in the city of St. George for many years and have a vested interest in St. George becoming a flagship city.
Okay.
It's right in front of you.
Sorry. Okay, so we built a very strong team, not only IBTS, but other subcontractors to administer this suite of services for the city. IBTS will serve as the prime contractor, and we have 5 main subcontractors that we've selected. The first of which is Duplantis Design Group. They're a local company that will be focusing on engineering, traffic management, grant funding advisory, floodplain management, among other areas. We have with us Stephanie sitting up front. We have Toller. I'm sure there's probably some in the back as well. Michael Thomas is in the back as well. They have extensive experience in St. George, have many great professional connections, and they have extensive knowledge of the grant funding arena. They will provide approximately 9 full-time employees and numerous other professionals that will support the team in various disciplines, such as water resources and landscape architecture. The second partner that we have is GatorWorks. They're also a local company that will be our partner for the development of a new website for the city. Not only will they provide a top-notch website, but they will also help with branding the city as we move forward. I'm not sure if anybody from GatorWorks is here, but Brian Rodriguez is going to be the lead for that effort. Leading our communications team is going to be the Delta Resource Group, which is a local firm as well. They bring decades of experience supporting government agencies at all levels, including school systems and civic initiatives across Louisiana. They have great relationships with local elected officials and will serve St. George well. Chance McNeely is going to be the lead for that company. Also joining us is Gulf South Engineering. They'll be our partner for inspections of public infrastructure. We know that's going to be very important to make sure that the city of St. George is accepting the public infrastructure that's built to code. So for long-term maintenance, we'll be in a good spot. And rounding on our team is going to be RMT Roadway Management Technologies. And Stephanie will go into a little bit deeper information about this company later on the agenda, but they bring some cutting-edge technology to the public arena that will benefit the city. They have fleet-mounted equipment that will provide daily updates of the condition of the city of St. George streets. Utilizing their technology, the city of St. George will be able to make smart financial decisions for capital maintenance programs, and their data will be essential in the event of disaster recovery, which will be important to help document pre-event roadway conditions for potential FEMA claims. So this slide shows the organizational structure of our team. As I said before, I'll be the senior program director for the city of St. George. I'll provide direction and oversight to Scott, who will be the primary day-to-day face leading the operation. We'll have our corporate team providing some of the back-end support, such as legal services, contracts, human resources, IT. We'll also have some local IT resources as well to support any issues that may come up locally. Many of you probably know most of the people listed on this org chart. Most of these people are currently doing existing work for the city, some of which I have seen in the room as well here tonight. We have Nick Vasquez, who is going to lead permits and inspections. We have Stephanie Phillips, who will be the funding advisory and grants lead. We'll have Kathy Cowan, who will be assisting with GIS. Michael Thomas will lead engineering services. Finance, Brandon just spoke. He'll be leading the finance team. We plan on hiring additional positions to support that division. Melissa Bilbo is the interim director of planning and zoning. We're actively in the process of hiring a planning and zoning director to serve on a full-time basis for the city. We'll also be hiring additional planners to support the growing development needs of the community. Stephanie will also be assisting with traffic management and analysis. And what makes our proposal unique is that we are proposing an ombudsman role. It's kind of a funny term, but basically, if anybody has experience contacting East Baton Rouge Parish, you know that it's a challenge navigating the ropes there. And this person that we have selected is Lacey Ruffin. She works in our office currently, and she will help make the connections with the city parish if there's some issue that the citizen has and can't get resolved with EDR. So she's going to be serving in that position.
Leading the code enforcement department will be Mario Lewis. He started this position back in May, and we have 5 code enforcement officers that are currently reporting to him. In the interim, Scott will be leading the business development services for the city. Angela Norman up front is already currently serving as the assistant city clerk. Gwen Kaiser is sitting in the back. She'll help assist with the emergency services. And then, as I mentioned before, Chance McNeely will lead the communications team. So here are some of the commitments that we have to the city of St. George. The first of which is there will not be any pre-operating expenses charged to the city. We're going to assume all of those costs. The second thing is we'll make sure that we'll have our resources, equipment, IT services ready on day one of the contract start. We're also planning on having digital dashboards available on day one. When the city obtains their first building, we plan on having dashboards on multiple screens in the lobby to give citizens and anybody who enters information about the status of permits, inspections, any kind of data that can be publicly available. We are also planning on establishing 25 key performance metrics that will help us remain accountable to the city and citizens, and we'll work with the city to establish what those are. As Chris mentioned, we're going to cap our asset gain at 7%. So anything that comes in excess of 7% will either be returned in the form of a rebate to the city or additional services, but we'll negotiate that with the mayor. We plan on utilizing AI in the city's website and phone system as that gets developed. That's going to help citizens find information on the website, forms. If they have some general questions, they can type them in or talk to the caller and see if they can get that answered without having to speak to a citizen or a staff member. That it's something that the system cannot understand, it will immediately route somebody to a live person to talk to. And our final commitment is to have an experienced team. From the very beginning, it's been very important to hire people who are experienced and know what they're doing to make sure that St. George gets started off on the right foot, and that's our commitment to the city, not only as a citizen, but as a company and service provider. Okay, so Scott is going to take over this slide. He's going to talk about our transition as we move forward.
That's where the clicker is at. Naturally, I want to reiterate what Chris and Matt said, that we're very honored to have this opportunity. I've enjoyed working with each one of you, and I have to commend Matt for the people that he selected in the beginning. When he talked about our team, we really do have a great team. We got people who really care. It means a lot. So, talk a little bit about this slide. You know, the transition and setup is kind of really everything that we've already been through. So this is where we've been to get us to this point. As I mentioned earlier when I was talking about, the track record that we've had in our monthly report, we talked a little bit about how things continue to increase. I like to think that part of the reason for that is because we've been providing good customer service, and so people like dealing with us. As we move forward into the actual contract and we start to expand our services, we're going to be bringing on more people. I'm very thankful for the opportunity to have a larger place to operate out of. For those of you who've had the pleasure of coming by and visiting us in our office, it looks like a special operations center there, like we're in Iraq standing up a special operation. We got people on top of people, and everybody has just been great, we got 2 people working at the same desk sometimes, and sometimes more. And everybody is doing a great job of getting the work out. So we're looking forward to that expanded opportunity and bringing in some additional people on board. And the strategic expansion and improvement, once we bring these people on, we're going to be able to take a deeper dive on some of these things. Matt mentioned communications, I think, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But, I feel like that's an area where we've had the biggest opportunity to improve. And you're going to see some improvement in that. Matt also mentioned those monitors that we want to put up in the lobby to inform the public as to what we're doing. And that will happen in that third quarter as we move into that bigger space. We put, in our proposal, we put a number of initiatives that we plan to complete as we expand every service that we offer, which includes our code enforcement, our inspection services, our permitting and our planning services, our engineering services, and the seeking out of grants. As some of you know, we've already written some grants, and I don't want to steal Stephanie's thunder. She's going to talk more about that in a minute. But we will expand all of those services in that third phase, which will occur into the latter part of this year. Going into next year, we begin to gallop at full speed, so we've been getting up to speed all through all of this, and then we're heading down to the throughway in the coming years. And we're going to learn some lessons. There's no question that when you're standing up a new city that we're going to learn a few things together. And but one thing that we do believe in, and it's a core goal and ideal of IVTS, is to see constant, never-ending improvement. And we will be doing that. Communications, I wanted to talk a little bit about this because, I think that this is an opportunity that I know the council is going to appreciate, and I think that the public's going to appreciate too. Just real quickly, we want to do some newsletters, so we're going to make an opportunity for some of our residents to sign up to receive those newsletters and try to keep the public informed. We're going to revise and enhance our website. We're going to take advantage of all the social media, and I hope that the public won't kill me for this, but we're even going to use text messaging. I promise to keep it real. I might go crazy with that. So we're going to be working on a number of initiatives that's going to bring the public in for us to really get an opportunity to find out what the public's vision is for the city of St. George. And some of that is going to be part of our comprehensive land plan. Anybody that's ever been a part of that, there's a lot of town halls and things that are conducted in relation to that. We'll put together a strategic economic development plan, and that is the same thing where we engage the public and our business owners, really all the stakeholders in our community. As some of you know, we've already began to do some public outreach. I want to commend the council too, because you're definitely a part of this. We are really one team. And so members that are before me and some sitting behind me now, I know have been reaching out to some of our HOAs. I've gone on some hiking trips with a few of my friends here. And we have gone to see some of the issues firsthand. And I'll never forget the story of a councilman going to a resident's house on the weekend to help them fill out a gas permit. So just the level of dedication that we have as a team all together, I think, in communicating that to the public, I really think that we've got some good things in store for that. So our approach to services, and in our proposal, we identified all of the metrics that were in your request for proposal. And a lot of these we're already doing. As I reported earlier, we had Brandy come up on finance. We've talked about permitting and planning and zoning. Stephanie in engineering. We talked about, some of the floodplain stuff that we're currently working on, some of the drainage stuff that we've been identifying. That was some of the hiking trips that we've conducted together to identify some of our future things that we're going to identify that we need to get involved in. The comprehensive land plan, which we're currently engaging in drafting the contract and everything necessary to get that kicked off and going. We are already operating with our engineering partners, a geographic information systems map. And on that map, we're identifying specific areas of challenge, and we'll be applying cost metrics to those identified projects so that when the time comes that we can deal with them, we can prioritize them. That concludes my portion of the presentation, and I'm going to invite Stephanie up to talk a little bit about the grant.
Good evening. So I am an engineer here in the city limits of the city of St. George. I've been here for 12 years. And with that comes with the recognition of a lot of needs, public infrastructure wise. I think all of our constituents also recognize that we have a lot of needs, and with those needs comes funding. We need a good bit to be progressive in this space. And so we put a pretty detailed plan together in order to be very progressive, in order to get as many dollars as we can for our city, for public infrastructure improvements. We have some really cool tools that are fancy, but at the end of the day, they really paint the map of a roadmap for funding and funding advisory so that we can be as competitive as possible in the federal, state, foundation grant space so that we can really go after a lot of those dollars. We've already begun some of that effort, and we have already applied for some roadway funding, and we plan on continuing that. We are currently actually putting another application together as we speak. So we should have some good news here pretty soon, and hopefully some good reporting in the finance department to add to the budget that we approved earlier. You gonna close that?
I'm going to let Matt.
I'll be brief. So in summary, these are some 10 key features of what we're proposing. I'm just going to touch on 3 that are very important. The first of which is grants. This is going to be very important for the city as we continue to grow. Stephanie's team has a lot of experience winning grants, so we're very excited to see what the future holds for that. The second important thing is going to be infrastructure analysis. Our teaming partner, RMT, has some of the best technology in this area, and we'll learn a little bit more about them later tonight. And then finally, we believe that our approach is going to really help Central become an aesthetically pleasing community. We plan on getting aggressive with code enforcement. Whether it's landscaping and maintenance, we'll do whatever we can to help make St. George a beautiful place to live. So with that, if you have any questions, our team is available to answer them.
I just have one question, and I already know the answer to it, but I think everybody needs to hear it. If there's something in this contract that you don't perform, do we pay for it?
Well, the way our proposal is written is that we don't have any change orders.
Thank you.
That's it.
Anybody else has any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. I'll open up the public comment period on that item, if anybody wants to speak on that. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment period at that time. Council?
Glad to have him on board.
We need a
Excited.
motion. Yeah.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Councilwoman Cook. Second by Councilman Edmonds, our execution. Any opposed to that? Seeing none. Motion is approved. Next item is selection of contractor for auditing services. This was a similar process. We put out an RFP for auditing firms in order to hire an auditor. We have an auditor every year. We're required by law to undergo a audit by a third-party firm. So we put the RFP out. We received 5 proposals back. 3 were local, 2 were not. The prices range, so it's a 3-year contract that we signed. For the first year, the low price was $21,000, the high price was $75,000. The high for the third year was $38,000, the high for the third year, and the most expensive one was $80,000. Went through all of them, checked references, checked their professional experience. My recommendation to the council is that we select Barker Winkler. Barker Winkler ended up being the most inexpensive one. They came in at $21,000 for the first year, going up to $38,000 for the third year. So they were the least expensive on both ends. As a professional service, we're not required to select the most inexpensive, but their price point combined with their experience in this space and their relative experience dealing with municipalities in this area seemed to be the right fit for us as we begin. So our recommendation to the council would be that we select Barker Winkler. Before we get to that, I'll open up the public comment area on this item at this time if anybody would like to speak on this item. Seeing none, council? Motion to accept Parker Winkler as our auditing partner, providing auditing services for the city of St. George, made by Councilman Himmel, second by Councilman Monticello. Any opposition? Hearing none. Motion is approved. Number 7, selection of contractor for professional legal services for enforcement. Drew, you'd like to come up and speak on this?
Yes.
We got Councilman-elect Drew Merle and our attorney Sherry Morris went through an interview process and interviewed the individual law practices to determine who they thought was the best fit for St. George.
Yes, thank you, council members. Request for call. I think that's terrible. Request for qualifications and proposals for legal services for enforcement was published on the city's website and the Baton Rouge Bar Association's e-news, which was distributed to more than 2,500 members of the Bar Association in East Baton Rouge Parish. There was 4 proposals were received. We're pleased to receive those proposals from 4 extremely qualified law firms. We were able to interview, 3 of those firms were selected for interview based on their proposed pricing schedule. Sherry Morris, the city attorney, and I were able to interview Kyle Celestine, the city attorney for Central, Sharon Kyle, as well as Mary Roper and Randy Lai. Decades of experience, all the interviews were qualified to do so, had experience handling cases in municipal code enforcement, zoning, property maintenance, public nuisance abatement, all the things that we're looking for from a code enforcement standpoint. The attorneys at Roper Lai, which is Mary Roper and Randy Lai, demonstrated a deep understanding of the legal nuances and practical enforcement from their years of doing that. Their knowledge of local government operations as well as administrative procedures and court processes would prove invaluable. In fact, even some of the things they said during the interview process opened up additional possibilities that they could offer for enforcement and protecting our community standards. What also distinguishes Roper Lai, they're located in the city of St. George, was their willingness to do the work at a reduced hourly rate for partner-level law firms, which allows us to receive expert-level representation while remaining within our constraints from a budgetary standpoint. Their pricing structure really does demonstrate their commitment to supporting our city, as well as reinforcing their reputation for transparency and responsibility. So based on those interviews and the bids received and the agreement to perform services for the lowest price proposal, I am very pleased to recommend Roper Lai to service as legal counsel for municipal code enforcement. So they stood out. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them at this time.
And Drew, just give an overview of what these legal services do. I know it's
Yeah, so this is code enforcement. We have to have, in the process of code enforcement, we have to have somebody to issue that citation. So example would be, let's say a parking violation. You have to have somewhere to hear that, which would be our administrative hearing officers, but you also have somebody to prosecute those issues. And you have to have that third component, otherwise you don't have a mechanism to enforce it. And so we had to have someone qualified to do so. And it could be code enforcement, that's nuisances, abatements, all the issues that we talk about in making a world-class city that's clean and healthy and vibrant. It's kind of a component part of that code enforcement process. And we have to have that prosecution. So they would come on a hearing day, they would present a case, they would present evidence, they would have testimony, they would examine witnesses, all the things they would do as a prosecutor in any case. It's the same process for us, and they would handle that for us.
Thank you, Drew. We'll open the public comment period on that item at this time. If anybody would like to speak on that item at this time. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment period on item number 7. Council, you have a recommendation before you to accept legal services for enforcement contract with the firm of Roper and Lyon. Council? Motion to approve. Second, motion to approve by Council Monticello, second by Councilwoman Cook. Anyone opposed to that? Hearing none, item is approved. Items number 8 through 19 are all policy related. I believe we amended this to include it all in one resolution. Is that correct, Sherry?
Yes, yeah, one resolution reminder to adopt all the required policies as well will be attached to the resolution.
Okay. So I'll read through the list here. The resolution to adopt a budget policy, a procurement policy, disbursement policy, receipts policy and procedure, payroll policy, contracting for services policy, travel and expense reimbursement policy, credit card policy, ethics professional policy, debt service policy, information technology, disaster recovery, business continuity policy and procedures, and prevention of sexual harassment policy. Mr. Brandon Moreland was kind of the point guy on putting these policies and procedures together, so I'm going to bring him up here and kind of tell us, all right, why we need these.
Thank you, Mayor. So yeah, this just goes back to part of being good stewards of taxpayer dollars, and the legislative auditor requires all of this as part of their statewide agreed-upon procedures audit. So with the contracted auditing firm, they will test for all that we have all these policies and procedures in place, and that's just the first step in the statewide agreed-upon procedures. It goes much deeper than that. This is just a minimum requirement that we have all of these. And going forward, at any point in time when the legislative auditor adjusts their statewide agreed upon procedures, we'll come back and adjust those policies accordingly. We'll also be bringing more financial policies and procedures to you guys, more best practices recommended by GFOA, Government Finance Officers Association. This is just to get our baseline. We figured 12 policies was enough for 1 week.
Thank you, Brandon.
Thanks, Mayor.
We'll open up the public comment period for this resolution this time. If anybody would like to speak on any of these resolutions, one or more than one, at a time. Thank you.
Oh, this is specifically under the,
Name and where you're from.
Justin Turner, Rose Hill subdivision, St. George. Specifically on the payroll policy, I think it's in section 4, where it talks about any time sheets that are delivered after a specific date, it's going to be held for payroll on the following payroll period. Just want to make sure that we're not opening ourselves up to any kind of legal challenges as the state law requires payment within 15 days. So maybe a modification on that may be required. And then the law puts the onus on the employer, not the employee, just for clarification.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else like to make any public comment on these policies? Seeing none, we'll close the public comment period at this time. Sherry, did you want to address that concern?
In order for the payroll check to be issued, there's gonna have to be the appropriate documentation turned in. And so it is on the onus of the employee to turn in their payroll at that time. We don't have very many payroll issues with that because we don't have a lot of hourly employees. Our employees starting on July 1st will be the council, the mayor, the chief of police, and they have set salary, but they will have to provide whatever documentation is necessary in order to get their payroll check.
And somebody from IBTS, just a quick question, that whatever payroll system we set up will be an automated system, correct?
Yes, it'll be electronic.
Okay, electronic, sorry. Okay, thank you. All right, council,
I'll make a motion to approve all of them, please.
make a motion to approve the resolution adopting this set of policies, made by Councilman Himmel, second by Councilman Edmonds. Any opposition? Seeing none, resolution is approved. Brings us down to number 20, approval of a contract with Roadway Management Technologies, RMT, in the amount of $250,000 to provide sensors, equipment, and software for comprehensive roadway surveying and evaluation services for all city roads. Stephanie's going to speak on this here a little bit and show a little presentation for what exactly we're talking about. I want to make a little bit of a comment that this was actually included in our original proposal from IBTS, which isn't set to go into effect until July. I felt it was necessary and important to start this as soon as possible. I think you'll understand why after you see the little presentation. But no, there's no dollar change here, really. This was either going to cost within the scope of IBTS's contract, or it was going to cost in the scope of a secondary contract that we enter into with RMT. So there's really no cost differential there. It's just we wanted to begin this earlier, so to begin it earlier, we had to adopt it outside.
Welcome to a quick walkthrough of the all-new RMT. Tried to hit pause.
Go ahead, this is more.
You want to just kind of introduce it?
Yes, so I actually had these guys, they were gonna be here, and weren't able to make it. So I actually had them go ahead and do a voiceover presentation for us so that I don't mess up the terminology, since it's another proprietary software. But I do understand it and I'm available for any questions, but I'll go ahead and let it play first.
Welcome to a quick walkthrough of the all-new RMT platform, a reimagined experience built to make managing your road network smarter and simpler. Our streamlined interface makes finding information on your network easy. Both the map and roads list are customizable, so you can quickly access the data that matters most to you. The map is fully interactive, letting you pan, zoom, and explore your network with ease. Color-coded segments instantly highlight areas where problems may be starting to develop, helping you act before they become costly. Our roads list includes smart search functionality, making it quick and simple to find a road or roads you want to review, while also adding any other needed fields. Selecting a road from the list allows you to drill into a specific segment. The single road view includes detailed information along with recommended treatments generated by our decision tree matrix, giving you clarity on what action to take. Once you've identified roads that need work, you can move directly into project management. Our project tool lets you track, update, and share the relevant details with the team. Once a project is complete, the system starts dynamically tracking those segments, feeding data back into the system to create future recommendations. Outside of pavement lifecycle management, we also offer a work order management, fleet management, and roadway asset management tools. Next, we'll review roadway asset management. Our asset management tool is made possible using our vehicle-mounted cameras. These devices are programmed to take photos at set intervals. The images are then processed, and a map can then be created based upon the detected assets. Once we have located an asset, we can then allow the system to monitor for changes to that asset. If a sign were to be damaged or become missing entirely,
the system is able to alert you of these changes. The overall health of your network's assets can be tracked in this dashboard. Here we can see metrics on the overall status, as well as the current performance of a variety of different asset types. The system is also able to break down assets by location and provide you with insight into where your network's assets are located. All of this is designed to help you make data-backed decisions, giving you the insights you need to preserve your road network in the most efficient and effective way possible.
So to kind of give a history of the way that this is done historically in a lot of cities and LADOT is that they actually purchase vehicles, scanning type vans, and they run periodically, do an assessment maybe a year, every 2 years. And these vans are specifically made to pick up pavement index reports. That does not include the asset management side where it is using the vehicle mounted cameras to pick up signage and other deficiencies in the network. It's specifically just for the sensor data. The proprietary software that they have actually mounts these to any fleet. So it could be code enforcement, it could be our waste management or other USPS service, and that the cameras run simultaneously with the sensor data in order to give us our pavement index and then make better decisions on what we should be spending our money to make sure that our roads are maintained properly and not waste money on overlays of things that are in base failure condition. So it's proprietary in the sense that we don't have to purchase vehicles just to have this done, and then it keeps it up to date because these vehicles will be on the roads all day, every day. So it automatically updates as the data comes in. And so it stays live at all times. Any questions?
Just real quick, Stephanie, traditionally, not only in the roadway assessments, but also the asset assessments of a particular area, the way that it's traditionally done in other cities and places. What type of time frame does that generally look like?
So usually they run it every year to 2 years, one time, and then it takes about 3 months for that data to be compiled, where it will give you a pavement index score, not the signage. That is hit or miss, but the actual pavement itself. And after it is compiled, an engineer or several engineers would confirm that data and do some field inspections to figure out where the deficiencies are, and then probably compile a report that takes about 9 months to distribute. So ultimately, it could be a period of 2 years in that contract, and it's already outdated by the time you have the information to make those informed decisions on your pavement management.
So in your estimation on the software and how it's going to work for us, how long do you think it will take? It's best guess. I'm not asking for anything definite, but best guess to really have a good grasp on where our problem areas are in St. George and where we need to prioritize our funding.
I think within 90 days at max.
So within 90 days, we have the information will be prioritized, and then we can bring it back to the public, we can bring it back to the council, and we can actually start game planning this thing over a multi-year period of things that we need to attack. Now, things we need to attack in 6 months, things we need to attack a year from now, stuff like that, correct?
Yes, sir.
That's all I got.
Yeah, something I wanna just tell everybody, I looked it up today, don't look up RMT, there's about 40 companies. Roadway Management Technology.
I did the same thing. Yeah, I can't find this company.
And they are unbelievable once you start reading everything they do, where they tell you that the stop sign missing or a street light, anything. It's just amazing. Are we the only people in Louisiana that have this technology?
I believe so. I think Addis, actually, the city of Addis, did a pilot version with them several years ago. But they are in numerous states, Florida, Texas, and I believe Washington are the three main states, but they're throughout the country and rapidly growing, I believe,
They're out of Arkansas, right?
originally from Little Rock, I believe, out of Arkansas.
Just want to say y'all did a good job on it. Then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stephanie, just real quick, on the attachment B on the pricing sheet, I think it's a typo as far as the year. Subscription period 6/1/25 to
There are several typos and there are several provisions that don't, that conflict with Louisiana law, so we'll have to do some revision.
Okay.
It looks like 6/1/25 to 5/31/26 and 6/1/26 back to 5/31/25. It's like we're paying forward and backwards. I wanna make sure.
It appears to be a 2-year contract, but the
Yeah.
dates don't line up with that.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Stephen. We'll open up the public comment period on that item at this time, if anybody chooses to speak. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment period at this time, council.
I'll make a motion that we accept.
Second.
Do you have to make a motion to accept it with the approved revisions?
Subject to revision.
All right, so a motion to accept, subject to revisions. Okay, Councilman Himmel, second by Councilman Monticello. Any opposition? Hearing none, contract is approved. Last item on the agenda today, number 21, presentation by Realtor Travis Thornton on office space recommendations for City Hall and municipal services. Travis, you can come on down as I kind of talk about this. We have talked about this for quite some time. The City of St. George has to have some place to go. I'm not a realtor. So I asked a realtor that's in the commercial real estate space to put together a presentation for us. We've been looking for habitable space for quite some time. He's put together a pretty robust presentation that I would like everybody to see. This is not an action item, but at the end of it, if anybody would like to speak on it, if it's on the agenda, I'll allow it. The action item would come in the form of some type of an agreement with the facility. So, take it away, Travis.
Thank you, Mayor. I very much appreciate the ability to be here. It's definitely an honor to sit in front of you guys. So thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Thank you, staff. It's been a pleasure working through this process a little bit. Just a little bit. We've been kind of working on this a while. Hitting the market, trying to find something suitable. And so, really, this presentation is showing that we've got a solution to a problem we've got, and I want to make this clear to everybody. My name is, like Mayor said, Travis Thornton. I am the Director of Commercial Real Estate for multiple Century 21 offices here in Louisiana. I'm also licensed in Mississippi. This is kind of in my area. I'm looking forward to talking with you guys about this. So this report, and I'm going to be respectful of everybody's time. There's quite a few slides. We're going to go through a good bit of information here. It's intended to evaluate feasibility and strategic merit of acquiring a property located at 11207 Proverbs Avenue for municipal use. We're looking at a purchase here. We've got a comprehensive analysis on the property, and it's my belief, and I'm very confident with this, that this is the best move for the city, short term and long term. Scott talked about it a little bit today, and you guys saw on the flow chart that city services is just growing like crazy, and right now we're split. The city's split in between Perkins Road, which is a cinder block building, and like you said, it does look like looks like Incident Command over there. So there's a definite current need, and they're constantly bringing on new employees right now. They don't have any work. So we've got something to where we have to address it right now, and then also want to address that, for a long-term plan as well. You can see 2,400 square feet on Perkins. It's around 7,000 square feet here, including city, the municipal chambers. That's not 100%, and I'll show you what we have now as far as floor plan. The floor plan on the left is looks a lot bigger than it is over on Perkins. It has one restroom that is between all the staff, and it is not ADA compliant. And we've had multiple meetings there, on other topics, and it's just, I'm amazed that you guys are still both on there. So, and then you guys are familiar with this building and kind of the, combination that we got. So my suggested approach, to the city is consolidated operations. It makes sense. It's very straightforward to be under one roof. If I have one municipal building, especially since all these other things are kind of coming together, and then it'll give room. This property gives room for current operations and also provides room for growth. So the long-term strategy is to be able to accomplish that. The short-term strategy that.
Yeah.
I was wondering if it was a cell phone, but it's not, because the cell phone's back there. The short-term strategy that this particular building provides is that we're able to occupy a portion of it short-term with a short-term lease agreement up into the purchase date if we move forward with the property. So it really does cover it, and it's surprising that it's in existence. And if you look at it, it's within the city of St. George. It's just within the city of St. George, but it definitely provides just about turnkey what we're looking for, especially after looking at multiple properties that we looked at. So you can see pretty attractive building there, and it lives up to it. Strategic fit, it's 19,985 square feet. It's on 1.75 acres. It's is this loud enough for people to hear me? Okay, because I don't want to fight that. Yeah, for you guys, right? So it's able to accommodate all portions of the city hall and city services. There's plenty of parking. There's 70 plus spaces over there. Move-in ready condition. Which really these days reduces upfront costs. We've got a 250 kilowatt Kohler generator that can run the entire building. So we have any kind of event, any kind of hurricane, that's huge, especially when it comes to government. It runs the entire building, so you don't have to worry about that. LED lighting. So the sale includes not all, but the majority of the furniture, fixtures, and equipment. 95% of it. The owner is going to take a few things, and realistically valued around $300,000. We're talking about a lot of cubicles, a lot of furniture, a lot of tables. It really is high dollar stuff. Not to mention buying it. And kind of hard to see at the bottom, but it's very competitively priced. We are targeted to acquire it at $2,915,000, which is right around $146 a square foot. And we'll get into a couple slides later showing how this is a good number. And it offers the ability for quick occupancy and solves the long-term needs. You can kind of tell with, and really the pictures don't do it justice. It's a very attractive building on the inside. It really does look like a municipal building. You can see the cubicles to where it's outfitted. It really meets current needs and future needs. It even supports long-term growth. The nice thing about it, as opposed to some other properties, especially lease space, is that it's single tenant or single ownership control, to where we'd be able to control the entire property, and then that just really offers a lot more stability in the long term. And then the layout's great. The layout really works well for the services. It works well for what I've received council utilizing, and it's just surprising how well it can fit. And then it's high tech, and it's also very efficient. So they utilize the space very well. So we've got the first floor plan here. We've got the second floor plan here as well. It really shows, you can see the multitude of offices around the outside of each of the structures. And on the inside, you can see some common space. The first floor is not exactly as it is right now. There's more cubicles in there that doesn't reflect, but for the most part, you get the idea. Also, please note for the temporary and short-term lease possibility, the area outlined in dark black is going to be the short-term area on the first floor. So it's just a nice kind of shoehorn right there. Just real quickly looking at purchase versus lease. This is really, really high overview stuff. Definitely not granular, but we're looking at the cost of what's on the table within the city of St. George that has the footprint and the ability to accommodate the needs that we have, not just currently, but also in the future. We're talking about a one-time purchase of a 2.915 as opposed to realistically the best fit is somewhere about 4.5 million at their ask price. And we're valuing that over 10 years because we're not going to be, because of what the footprint and what the use needs to be, you're not going to be able to get less than a 10-year lease because of the modifications that would be needed. So we're valuing it over the term. So you can see you got one to where it's an asset and you own it, the other one to where you're paying for somebody else's property. We kind of go through this a little bit of detail. This gets a little bit obvious as far as the benefits go. Really, the full control is such a large thing, especially when it comes to government services. Just to get very detailed, these are the adequate leasable spaces within the city of St. George currently. I'm not going to bore you with going through all the details, but just from a cost perspective, the purchase makes a whole lot more sense. But this is really just from an approach level. These numbers have a tendency of going up because you have build-out costs that are not factored in here, and then also you can expect at least 2 to 3% annually as far as escalations go, and those things. Whenever you don't control the possibility of not only the lease rate going up, and then also some of the operating expenses that can be associated, that can just kind of get out of your control. So when you own the property, it makes a lot more sense, and you can have a lot more control of the situation. So benefits of ownership, for the budget, you're able to predict things very, very narrowly. It's good for that. There's some opinion here, but for me, I think it's good for civic identity. It's good to have the footprint and the place where City Hall is and have the ability for all components to be able to communicate with each other. And I really think that the city would benefit from having a place like that. And then you've got flexibility for future growth to where Scott and you guys can hire people and have room to actually put them. There's room for us for the municipal chambers and City Hall. You're investing in the local infrastructure of the city of St. George. And then it just delivers more than operational space. It just ensures maximum control, kind of hammer that point home a little bit. Wanted to be thorough. So, and then I guess the last question to really answer is, well, why don't we build something? The answer to that, I'm sure, is that's possible, and that's possible down the line. But I would like people to be aware of new construction right now is running somewhere between $240,000 and $300,000 a square foot, and that's not taking. $240,000 to $300 a square foot, and that's not including acquisition costs for land. So if you really plug that in, you're looking at well over $4 to $5 million, especially for the quality of this property. The building really is top notch. So you can see the savings there. Time advantage, obviously with the short-term occupancy possibility. And then also the fact that it checks the boxes for the long-term occupancy. So you can see that not only with comparison to the lease properties, but then also building a new property, this one stands out as a really solid option there. I also wanted to touch base on what's out there in the market in the city of St. George. These are properties that have sold recently that are comparable footprint, comparable quality. I would say that realistically with this building, we're probably looking somewhere between the American Way and the Marketplace Avenue as far as the price per square foot, which you can see down the middle, which is well above where we're looking, the target price that we're looking to acquire this property. So from a comparable standpoint, we're in excellent shape there. And then from the actives that are for sale, we want to make sure that we're exhaustive when it comes to looking at everything that's possible in the city of St. George. This is literally everything that makes any kind of sense at all from a footprint standpoint. I would say the most realistic, we're talking close to apples, is 8940 Bluebonnet. That's about 5,000 square feet smaller, and it's also priced at $210 a foot. So you can kind of see just from a comparable standpoint where that stands. I'm familiar with that building as well, and I have to say that the Proverbs building is superior. The two industrial properties, they're over in the more industrial area. They're office warehouse combinations. They're going to require massive amounts of build out. That's going to put you way over the target of where we're kind of narrowing down. So I think it's out of feasibility really quick. We have one at the bottom just because it's possible that someone may mention it, but it's way more expensive as an investment property. They have a tenant there. It's a little bit more orange as opposed to apple. But I did want to be comprehensive with what we have here. Purchase price, here's just kind of the final financial advantages. 2.915, got control, got potential for equity growth, and have appreciation on the asset. You got your fixed cost stability for budgeting. You don't have to worry about rent escalations. You don't have to worry about control of the property. And then it does offer insulation from the market lease increases. It gives them just being able to keep your hand on the control stick there is big. And then just really the X factor in this deal is being able to acquire the furniture, fixtures, and equipment, which I can't overstate. Like you might think that $300,000 number is an overstatement. I can tell you I was very conservative with that because it is a very large amount of stuff that we can utilize immediately that comes with the building. So wanted everyone to be aware of that. Here's the summary. The long and short of it is this is the best possibility that we've seen since we've looked at it. We've looked at it comprehensively. We've looked at it from every single angle. Definitely happy to answer the questions, but wanted to try and answer as many questions on the front end as I possibly could. So I'd like to open up for any questions for you guys, and if just let me know.
I think you covered it all, Travis.
Someone time me.
That was pretty extensive. I asked Travis to give an overview, and I think he did a very nice job. I don't have any questions. Anybody else on the council?
I don't have any questions, but being in the construction business for 40+ years, the building is in excellent condition. Office furniture is worth a ton of money in that place. And the roof is a standing seam roof, which is very expensive. So whoever built the building did not cut any corners at all. We meet every ADA law that I could see going in there, which I did for years. Small things, bathroom petition, they're in good shape. And, that's $10,000 per unit that you don't have to pay for. So even the hardware, the door hardware, the doors are in good shape. So whoever owned the building did take good care of it. So thank you very much for buying it for us.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Travis.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to make one comment about it. But this isn't something we did overnight. We've known that we've had to find some additional space for months. We knew it was going to be an extensive process. That's why we went through it. We wanted to make sure that we left no stone unturned in the process, and I think we accomplished that. Travis just gave you all the information that I think you could ever potentially want as far as why it would make sense for us to go down this route. Initially, we looked at leasing space. Then when it got to the point where something like this came available, it made a lot of fiscal sense to look at purchasing a piece of property rather than leasing a piece of property. And not to rehash everything that Travis just said, but probably the next closest one in comparison that was leasable in our opinion would have cost us roughly $4 million a year over that 10-year period. We tried. We can't get anything less than a 10-year lease because the type of environment that we're bringing into that building, which is understandable to the people that are leasing that property. Not only that, but we would have had to make improvements to those existing properties. They weren't ready to walk in the door tomorrow and start operating city services. So over that same 10-year period, I would say a very conservative estimate, including furniture, equipment, and all those good things. The city of St. George would have spent somewhere in the neighborhood of $5.5 million. As it stands with this, the purchase price holds at $2.9 million. I think it's in the best interest of the citizens of St. George. And also to Travis's point, I think the citizens deserve one place to go. It makes it easier. It's a public-facing building. It's extremely accessible, and we never want to be in a situation where we're not accessible to the public. And it will be very, very nice to be able to have everybody that's occupying the St. George space to be under one roof as we move forward. It'll make us more efficient. will make our communication process a lot smoother. And I think overall it's a really good thing. So, like I said, this isn't an action item tonight. I just wanted to present it to the public so everybody understands kind of where we're at in the process. The next time that we come back to the council, it's if we have a purchase agreement in hand, and that will be for the council to approve that. So even though it's not an action item, if anybody would like to make a comment on this, I'll allow it at this time. So.
Just want to make sure y'all realize I don't only point out the negative. I think it's, based on the analysis that he gave, I think it's a very smart decision to move forward with with an acquisition, possibly with the option of the short-term lease and in the interim being an option is a very, seems like a very good ordeal. And it's also, it's difficult to come here to the fire department. There's limited parking. So I like the idea of having, centralized location, easy access, there's less traffic on, of course, in that area. So I do appreciate the work that y'all done, and I agree with it.
Thank you, Justin. Anybody else like to make a public comment on this? Oh, Michael. Name and where you from, Michael?
My name is Michael Lala. I live at 179-145 Oaks Drive here in St. George, Louisiana, excuse me. But looking at Travis's proposal here, I was amazed at how reasonably inexpensive this is. I mean, $3 million for a building of this size is unheard of. I've bought, leased property in this area for 40 years, and the square footage there and the price per square foot is below market value, I can tell you, and incredibly amazing with what I saw here. Just the condition of the building looks something we just shouldn't pass up. Thank you.
Anybody else for public comment? We'll close the public comment period on that item at this time. Other business, city council meeting scheduled for Tuesday, June 24th, 2025.
We have an item that needed to be added to the agenda. It's a resolution to continue the Advocate as our official journal.
Okay, so the process to add it is everybody has approved.
There needs to be a motion unanimously agreed to add to the agenda, but our last resolution expired at the first June meeting, so that's why it's necessary to do that.
So can somebody make a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve,
To add to the agenda.
to add an item to the agenda, to adopt the Advocate as the official journal for the city of St. George. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And then we'll have to do a roll call vote because everybody has to be unanimous approval. So Councilman Monticello, Councilman Cook,
Yay.
Councilman Evans, Councilman Himmel. Alright. So that item's been added. Sorry, I forgot about that. We have to adopt an official journal. We only have one official journal to select, right?
Correct, there's only one qualified, and they have been our official journal since the beginning.
Okay, so the resolution is to adopt the Advocate as the official city journal for the city of St. George
For the next year.
for the next year. Why do we only have to do that for 1 year? Can we not do it?
The law says you have to do it in June and then you have to do it at the first June meeting of the following year.
There are no other official journals.
Not qualified.
They're qualified in our parish.
All right, well, I will open up the public comment period on that item, if anybody like to talk about that. I'm seeing none, we'll close the public comment period at this time. Do I have a motion to approve?
Make the motion to adjourn.
We're not there yet, Max. Motion to approve by Councilwoman Cook, second by Councilman Evans. Any opposition? Seeing none, we've got the Advocate for another year. All right, other business announcements. City council meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, June 24th, 2025 at 5 p.m. Board of Adjustment meeting is Monday, July 7th, 2025 at 5 p.m. Planning Commission meeting is Monday, July 7th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Zoning Commission meeting is Monday, July 7th, 2025 at 6 p.m. All those meetings will be held right here. The swearing in ceremony for the upcoming term of office will take place on Tuesday, July 1st at 6 p.m. at Grace Life Fellowship Church located at 10210 Barrens or Foreman. And that is all I have for other business. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn by Councilman Himmel, second by Councilman Evans. Anybody opposed? Nobody is. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
20 minutes.